Broadcasting live from the city of brotherly love. You're listening to Philly Funk Radio.
All right, good afternoon and good evening. Good evening and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. You are checking out the Philly Live Show, live right here from Overbrook Farms, from our studio right here. And let me make one adjustment before we go to everyone. Let's see. So, as always, I'm joined by Mr. Van Stone, and we have a special guest tonight. And, Van, do you want to introduce the guest, or do you want me to? Excuse me?
You can introduce, and
Okay.
then I'll come in.
Gotcha. Yeah, the Zoom was down low. All right, so joining us tonight, we have Mr. Leon King. He is a Pennsylvania attorney who is running for judge in the Court of Common Pleas in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Welcome, Leon. How are you tonight?
I'm fine. I'm very fine. Thank you, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Stone, for having me.
Wonderful.
So,
All right.
the reason why I wanted to have you on tonight, I've been seeing a lot of you and your campaign on different social media outlets, and I just wanted to give you a chance to get out to some of the voters, because all of us here are voters. So you're basically talking to your base. So
I love it. Thank you.
So what I wanted to ask you to get started, give us a little introduction of yourself.
Okay. Well, I've been a attorney for 33 years in this city, primarily practicing civil rights law. I actually can say I'm one of less than 50 people who are actually civil rights lawyers, only practicing that for about 12 years. I have been engaged in civil rights law, both for law enforcement, representing them, and also representing common citizens whose civil rights have been violated. I'm also practice labor law and estate law and contract law, all sorts of things that I've done. There's probably not an area of law I haven't delved into a little bit. I'm also the former commissioner of prisons here in the city, which gives me a very unique view of criminal justice and how we should deal with criminal justice in the courts. And I supplemented that by being the deputy commissioner down in Baltimore for 4 years. I ran the jails down there. I've also been a associate teaching professor of criminal justice at Drexel for 10 years, where I taught about jails and prisons. And I also run 3 Bible study groups for young people because I'm trying to keep them engaged. Do you understand? So that's
yeah.
basically my background. And when I worked for the city, I was a deputy city solicitor for civil rights, deputy city solicitor for employment, and for a time I worked in city council as a director of legislation for Councilman Rizzo. So I've had a lot of varied experience in many different things.
Okay.
So I seen on your Facebook a picture with you and Mr. Sylvester Johnson. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how far do you guys go back?
We go back way, that's got to be 20, 25 years. I first represented him when he was deputy commissioner in the police department, when he was a witness in a case of mine. And then I represented him for part of the time he was commissioner. And then I believe the whole time I was at the prison from 2002 to 2008, he was the commissioner of police. And he's come out before on my prior campaigns for judge. So I've known him over 20 years. And I'm very appreciative of his support and endorsement that he gives every time I run for office. So I've known him a long time.
All right. So, question, what made you want to run for judge?
So the initial problem was I was at the prison and we had a drug program called Options, and you're supposed to go through this program, and then you're supposed to be paroled to something called FUR. I don't know if anyone's heard of those things. And
Yep.
what was happening was the PA and the DA would agree on, PD and the DA would agree on a parole order, right? Go to the outside program. And these orders were sitting on judges' desks, and they weren't signing them. They were just ignoring them because they didn't care. And so the problem for me was I didn't understand this. And, we're overcrowded at the prisons. We need to get people out. And these are people who, they go to the drug treatment program in the prison, right? They learn how to behave, as it were. And then when they're done, we stick them back in general population, and they're unlearning everything they learned in the drug treatment program. So it was very bad. That was the initial reason I decided to run in 2004. But now I'm running, aside from the fact that I am qualified, bar recommended, I've got plenty of courtroom experience. I believe we need judges who are empathetic and understand mercy. I believe we need judges who are problem solvers. And I think my civil rights experience is very important. So, for example, when I was 19, I got arrested out in California. And I was on the eighth floor of the San Diego County Jail. I panicked. I was afraid. I called my mother, the whole 9 yards, to come get me from Massachusetts. And I went before the judge. We had stolen a moped or something, me and my roommate. And I could have faced 2 or more years in prison. And for whatever reason, the judge decided to convict me on one, the lowest charge. And he said that if I completed my probation of 3 years, no jail time, my charges would be dismissed and my conviction overturned. So I went ahead and did that. And I went to law school. I had to explain that. I went to the bar exams, two of them. I had to explain it. Getting into the city, I had to explain it. 4 years later, 40 years later, when I went to Baltimore, I had to explain it. And I tell you that story because 20 years to the month that I was on the eighth floor of the San Diego County Jail, I became the commissioner of prisons here in this city. So the point is, I have experienced mercy. I have experienced empathy, and that whole experience created empathy in me. So that when I first was at the prison presiding on New Year's Day when Mayor Street came out, and I looked out into that vast sea of blue, because inmates wear blue, I just saw myself being reflected black. I think they were wearing the same type of uniform I was. And so that that projected me and guided me in all the things I tried to do at the prison to help people and to see promise in people. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I
Yes,
bring
we
that
do.
empathy, I bring that practice of mercy, and I know there are some people who need it, and there are some people who need mercy, and they need a second chance because they can do great things like I did. The second thing is that I want to be a change agent. So many judges sit in their courtroom and they just deal with what comes and whatever it is, it's no, don't make any big waves, just deal with what you got. And there are situations where that can't be. When I was at the prison, I noticed there are 1,200 mentally ill people out of 8,000. I didn't just sit around and go, hey, that's okay. I went down and I saw the judges down in the courts. We explained it to them. We sat down with Judge Renee Cardwell Hughes and a couple other people, formulated a plan, and rolled out mental health court. So that's a program I started that's still helping hundreds and thousands of Black people in this city. I also think about kids down in Baltimore. I have two stories, but suffice it to say, young man convicted of carjacking, right? Bad thing. So he got punished. He comes to the juvenile high school. He does well. He gets straight A's. He gets a scholarship to community college. He gets a scholarship to a 4-year college. But when he gets out, he got nobody. His mother's a heroin addict walking the streets. He didn't have money for an application. He didn't have money for his books. He didn't have nowhere to live. No one would hire him. You know how it works. And so he got rearrested at some point. He begged us, actually. He came and said, please, please help me. I don't want to go back to my neighborhood because I know when I get there, I'm going to get caught up in it again. I got to take care of my little brother. So he gets arrested again. He got in trouble in prison while he got arrested the second time. He's now in the Maryland State Prison somewhere, lost forever. His brother has gotten arrested. So the point is, when that kid came back, the judge probably gave him a lecture. Do you understand, Mr. Stone? Here you are, you're
Yeah.
back again. Why didn't you? La da da. And you, as a judge, you should be aware of the fact, and you should inquire about, well, what happened to this juvenile, right? When he went to the juvenile school, did he do well? Did he have any opportunities? What's going on, so that you can take that into account when you're sentencing, but then you can do something about it. Do you understand what I'm saying? You pick up the phone, you call a church, you do something to have somebody for the next kid. Do you understand? Who comes through and does well and just needs a little help, right? And people, I had a prosecutor in one of my fundraisers the other day, and he said, "Well, you need to add a little about victims' rights. Victims." And people don't understand. I'm very concerned about victims. I had one of my neighbors was being robbed several years ago. I saw the guy over there by her purse. I ran out. I grabbed him. He pulled the gun out. I wrestled with him. I got the gun away. The whole 9 yards. I'm not going to let victims stand around. I got an award for that. But when you sentence a person, right? Punishment. You put them in prison. They're taken off the streets. They're incapacitated, right? And that's to show respect to the victims. But we also have to show respect to the victims. Are you understanding me? To try and make sure that these people, this kid committed a carjacking, he doesn't do it again. And how do you do that? Send them to school. And if they need a little help to succeed afterwards, give them that little help. Why? Because you reduce the chances greatly that they're going to go out and hurt somebody. And then the third, so that's that change thing. You won't see I went to court once. You saw this. The guy came in, summary offense, 55th and Pine, the 18th district, I think it is. The judge said to him, "Now I'm going to sentence you." It was a summary. I don't know what it was, a little thing. "I'm going to sentence you to 6 months on state road, and I want you to sit in that cell. I want you to get your act together, and I want you to turn your life around." Now, he's duly diagnosed. That means he's a drug addict and he's not all there. He's crazy. So I don't know if you have any mentally ill people in your family or you've known drug addicts. They don't just go up to a cell on State Road, sit in the cell, and the angel Gabriel, understand, comes down and goes, boom, you're okay. That's not how it works. So judges will do that. They don't know any better, and they'll see the same guy come back a year later for the same thing, and they'll send him for another 6 months to deal with his mental health and his drug problems, and they won't be dealt with because that's not how you do it. You don't leave them in a cell. And then the final thing is with the current occupant of the White House. We have a lot of things that come up in court regarding the Constitution, right? The 19th Amendment, whether or not you're born here and you can stay. And now, Mr. Stone, we're hearing about the Fourth Amendment, right? Because they just picking people up, no warrant, no hearing, putting them on a plane to El Salvador. And now
Correct.
they want the right to just come in your house, right? This is completely un-American. Come in your house. I've seen videos where they're not even in uniforms, snatch you out of your house and take you to a foreign country. So we're in this hotbed of constitutional issues. And I know the Constitution because I was a civil rights lawyer, not one who handled civil rights cases, but a civil rights lawyer. So you're not going to be able to come before me in the Court of Common Pleas and pull my leg and give me something about the Constitution and things that it doesn't say. So I think I'm also timely for those subjects. I apologize. I'm one of those people. You ask me one question, I could go on for an hour. So
No,
I'll
that's
pause.
good. We want that. Nah, you're
Yeah.
good.
Oh, that was
Van,
good.
is there a question that you had for Mr. King?
Well. First of all, I want to thank you for coming on the show. That's very important to us. And I also want you to know that here on our station, we deal with culture, we deal with politics as well. And when we talk about politics, because I'm a professional political analyst, usually I'm the go-to guy that, we have different guests and they want to talk about different topics. And if there's some uncertainty, then that's where our programming, they mainly rely on me as the main co-host. So that being said, I want to say something backwards from what you talked about. One, you mentioned that currently this court issue, which is in a high court right now, where of course the federal government, they have taken a group of people based on so-called gang-related, and as you said, they're not even in the country. So right now, the judge who talked about that, and they're trying to decide. Well, there's several judges said the way they're going about things. Basically, they could have just grabbed that judge out of nowhere and took the judge. So it's about process, and right now, that's what they're talking about. Now, I want to bring that back in because you mentioned something very important: common pleas court. So we know that there is criminal law and there's family law in common pleas court. Again, why is it that you feel that the voters should vote for you when it comes to common pleas court or family law? That's my question to you.
I gave you some of the reasons, because I have empathy and I have mercy and I want to be a problem solver and I am up on constitutional issues. There's the civil courts. That's like a big thing that people often forget about. Out on the campaign trail, we talk a lot about criminal court, less so about family court. But again, we need judges. So this empathy and mercy thing, when people come to court, whether you're in family court, civil court, criminal court, they need to feel that the judge is listening to them, is somewhat empathetic with their story, and that they've had an opportunity to be heard. That is very important, aside from knowing all the rules of court. So if you've ever been in court, there's some judges that do that and some judges that don't. And I'm telling you that that's what I'm committed to because I've been through the process where I had a judge listen to me. I had a judge evaluate me. I had a judge do something right by me. So that's one reason people should trust me in these various roles. It doesn't matter where you put me. And two, I think this whole change thing, this whole being a change agent, applies in all branches of the court. So if you go to family court, for example, I had a friend who went through the process of, he was separated from the mother of his child, and mom wanted to take the baby and move the baby to Florida. Not the baby, the child. And they had to go to court. What happened? Took forever for the case to be assigned to a judge. When it got assigned to a judge, it took forever to be heard. After it was heard, it took maybe 6 months for it to be decided. And when you call the court, right, to see what's up, no one answers the phone or they're rude to you. So you have to have somebody who's got empathy, who's got mercy, who understands that that family's life was in limbo for 6 months when it should never have taken 6 months to decide that case. Mom didn't know if she could move to Florida. Dad didn't know what he was going to do. And you're paying attorneys, do you understand, that whole time to follow up with people? So those little tiny things that are very important are not going to happen in my courtroom. And I can assure you of that based on my experience. And I can assure you of that if you go look on my website, there are many problems that I have solved. So I'm not going to sit back in situations like that and just let them slide. I'm going to make sure people are treated fairly. I'm going to make sure people are heard, and I'm going to make sure their cases are heard exponentially. And that
Okay.
assumes too.
All
Go ahead.
right. So I'm
Go ahead, Jerry.
Whitney is joining us as well, and I want to know, Whitney, do you have a question for the Common Pleas Court candidate?
Yes. You said that there was a couple prisons that had the reform programs. Are they federally funded? Like, are they still in the like? Do they still have these programs for people that are users or maybe not even non-criminal, like with no crime or some less crime people that can go to these programs that you have?
Well, I mean, I'm not up at the prison anymore. I know that they still haven't been there in a while. I know they still have the options program that I just talked about, but that program has been they've taken funding away from it. So the way it worked is that
Mm-hmm.
you would have individual housing areas, and everybody on that housing area was involved in drug rehabilitation, and they all lived according to the same rules, and et cetera. They call that a therapeutic community. They don't have that anymore. It's just you're out in the general
Mm-hmm.
population and you come to classes. So there's still programs up at the state, up at on State Road, but they're not like they used to be, and they're not as coordinated as they used to be, but they do have them. And they do have treatment court down in the Court of Common Pleas that tries, to put people who are there on nonviolent charges and tries to think up alternatives to incarceration for them. They do have that
Mm-hmm.
court too. So there are some things. But with my experience as a prison commissioner, I know addiction. I know mental health because I had to deal with those things. I had to come up with the programs. I had to talk to the inmates to know what the issues are. So when I'm sitting in the court and you come in, unlike probably almost every other candidate, I know these issues. So I know that a drug
Well,
addict, Mr. Stone,
yeah,
takes on average 7 times to kick their habit. Do you understand? So
yes.
if
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you're coming through, if you're coming
let,
through drug court and you're there and you go through because you're your first time possession offense, and you come back to me the second time, who knows what you like? I can't project what I would do, but if it's a non-violent second offense, one of the things I have to take into account is okay, it should not be a surprise that this person has relapsed twice because it takes 7 times. Do you
okay,
understand?
but Mr.
Yeah.
King, Mr. King,
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to a break. Before we do, I want to ask you one other question, real brief, and we might continue on the other side. When Police Commissioner Sylvester Johnson was there, and of course you have experience at that time. My question is, at that time there was a high number of black males who were suffering, dealing with the Court of Common Pleas, but also the LGBTQ community as well. So my question on behalf of the LGBTQ community and the black males, why would it be a difference if you were elected to be this Court of Common Pleas judge?
Well, first of all, I'm a member of the LGBT community. I would be the first openly gay black male to be elected to the Court of Common Pleas. Second of all, I have a track record at the prison, especially with LGBT people. One of the things I took on up there was HIV/AIDS and that disease and what was doing to people. I instituted a program where people who are discharged from the prisons who are infected with any disease, but it started off with HIV, that when they left, they had 30 days worth of medication. And two, we worked out partnerships and linkages with Philadelphia Fight, Action AIDS, ACT UP, so that when people with HIV leave, they're actually handed off to someone. They have the medication they need for 30 days, and we started signing them up before they left. So they had their benefits restored. And we also increased HIV testing rates while we were there. So I was very sensitive to those things when I was in the prisons, and I'll be very sensitive to them when I'm on the court and dealing with people like that. I had a young lady. Her name was Jackie Adams. She was a transgender inmate. She's the one who convinced me to put condoms on the commissary list at the jail to combat HIV. And she told me of an encounter with a judge. She was a prostitute, Mr. Wilson. She was a drug addict. She was in and out of RCF and other institutions. She went before a judge who said to her, Ms. Adams, XYZ. So that had been the first time a judge had called her, she's transgender, hadn't called her Mr. Jones. He called her Miss Adams. And that was the first time someone in authority had respected her. And that changed her whole life around. So that's the type of stuff that you should expect from me. And as far as black men go, they are, of course, a part of that HIV/AIDS population. But again, discharge medications that I did for those folks. I had really, really good reentry programs, getting people jobs. And I work with the criminal justice system to lower the prison population. So you'll know when you come into my courtroom as it relates to criminal justice matters, I have a whole insight on what's going on with our community, whether it be the black community or the gay community, in regard to what our issues are, how you resolve those issues, and I'll understand when you come in, and I will take that into account when I hear what you have to say and I decide what should be done with you. I'm probably the only judicial candidate who can say based on what I did up at the prisons when I was there. There are literally hundreds of thousands of Black men walking around this city who have benefited and are still benefiting from the things that I did at the prison.
All
All
right.
right.
So we're going to take a 30-second break and we will be right back.
What are you doing in there?
What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
I don't know how much time we have left.
All right. And
I
we
was
are
just-
back and we have about 4 minutes left. So I'm going to go back to Van and see, do you have any further questions?
Sure. So we have 4 minutes, and I want this 4 minutes to be used as much as you can, Mr. King, so that you can get our viewers and listeners to follow you. You know, we have over 200,000 people who follow our platforms. We're on Facebook, of course. You know, we're on YouTube, and we're one of the largest media programs here that covers Philadelphia area, as I said. So I think this you answered very well. One more time, just in case our viewers may have missed it, I would like for you to state something else about the LGBTQ community. And if you are elected, how would you deal with that when it comes to the Court of Common Pleas?
Right. So I'll go back and I'll say I'm a member of the community and have been so all my life. And I've talked about, and I can talk about again, all the things I did for people with HIV, increasing testing for HIV folks, not increasing, starting discharge medication. So when you go home, you have your medication, you have benefits, so you can pay for that medication, and you're connected to services. I was openly gay in 2002 when I came out. I was the first openly gay person to run a city department. I'm probably still the only openly gay person who's run a major law enforcement agency in this city. And aside from those two things, I've been very involved with the gay community. I was on the board at the Attic board at William Way. I have a nonprofit that I run because I'm a Christian and I believe that if you're gay, you shouldn't have to give up your Christian faith. So I have a nonprofit called Q7 that I run. I have 2 Bible studies that I run and fellowship groups for gay Christians in there. And part of it also is we call it Q7 Rescue. So out of my own funds, I help these young people who are struggling, Mr. Stone. I help them with student loan payments, moving expenses, food when they're hungry. I have one kid that I take care of who's in India. He's gay and in India. I help him. I have another kid who's sort of experiencing homelessness up in New York, and I help folks. And this is my commitment to the gay community. So I am very involved, very knowledgeable, and you can be rest assured, based on all the things I've done and all the things I've known, probably not remembering everything, that I would be very astute to and very understanding of the LGBT community in all its shapes, sizes, and facets.
All right.
All
On to
right.
you, Wendy.
So real quick, we're gonna wrap up real soon, but I did just want to make a note. Warren Bloom, he was a candidate for mayor. He was going to join us tonight, but I'm being honest, I forgot to send him the Zoom link. So my apologies to Warren. I apologize to you. I just texted him right now. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna wrap up. So we want to get the final comments from everybody, 30 seconds or less. I'm going to go to Whitney first. Whitney?
It was nice meeting you. I'm here. It was nice meeting you, Mr. King. And you were very informational on things that I did not know that they had in the in the prison system. Because I feel like, the epidemic of opiates has increased so dramatically that these people are getting locked up and just getting sent home, like you said, and they're not even sober. You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it me?
Well, we can hear
Can
you. I can
anybody
hear
hear?
you. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
We just finished up.
okay.
Go ahead, Whitney. We can hear you. So it's being recorded. It's okay.
And I just, hope they, because the federal, government is about to feel like shut down stuff like that as some programs for the people that are needing help of their sickness. So I really
Okay.
have to look into that. Thank you.
All right. Jerry.
All right, so this is my final thought. Thank you, Mr. King, for joining us today. I do appreciate it very much. I know you're busy, and I know you have other stuff to do, but thank you for coming on. When is the election? When is the primary?
The primary is May 20th.
And do you know what's the last day to register?
That I don't know off the top of my head, but
I think it's May 5th. I think it's the 5th.
Sounds about
I got to
right.
look into that. Van, what's your final thought?
Sure. My final thought is that we here at VSP Foundation, we're in West Philadelphia. We want Mr. King to know that we've been around for over 20 years, and we are allies, especially to the LGBTQ community. This is so important because we have a center, and we would love for you to connect with us, especially in the West Philadelphia area, and help us to build more of what we're doing. We know that there's a big issue in the Court of Common Pleas, and just in case you do not win, you are a winner already according to us because you are part of the LGBTQ, but you're also an ally and of course working with others in this field. So if you would make sure we would get your contact information when we end this show, a personal cell phone number or something like that, I definitely personally will reach out to you as the editor and publisher of the Philadelphia Front Page News. We have a magazine. And as always, our viewers and listeners, we love to have topics like this to continue. So we just want to let you know this should not be the last.
I'm very happy to. I think Mr. Wilson has my information. I'm very happy to get involved. I am busy, but I'm one of those people that you ask me to help, I help. I can't help it. And I'll continue to do that when I'm a judge because a lot of times judges say, well, I can't be too involved in the community. Well, yes, you can. You just can't. You just can't have people who you help before you, So I'm very happy to come out and mentor people, career day, whatever it is you need.
All right.
And you can come back to the show. You can still continue to come back.
Hey, you can come back anytime you want. We're here. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.